どちゃっこなんだが、ひかりちゃんのママ、あなたの配信見てあんなんしもらう方が失礼やろ。むしろ女性に魅力を感じた時はその場でしとるべき。
片方の女優さんが明らかにユリプレイを嫌がってるのとか好きです。
This is a real anime. This is straight up a real show that has just started airing for this anime season. At this current time, if you look at the episodes, there's only 2 episodes out at the moment. And I'm gonna have to sit down and watch episode 2, because I just finished watching episode 1, and it is just... This is cinema, man. This is actually just, this is peak anime. This is exactly what I like from an anime, because it's so unhinged, it's so weird, it's so funny, that I can't help but just be amazed by how this was even able to be adapted in the first place. And I'm all for it. I love this. And what's even funnier about this whole situation with this show, with those clips I just showed you, is that this voice actress, she had to voice those. Like, I wonder how many times it took this VA to voice act these lines with a straight face. Like, you've got to imagine just saying these lines could be just legitimately so embarrassing, and just you want to laugh because of it. I could not imagine how the voice actress felt recording these lines. But with that being said, though, shout outs to her voice actor. Like, she's really good at voicing this character, and just like, it really was the star of the episode. I mean, the visuals and the unhinged nature is definitely a big part, but the voice actress really just brought this episode to life. Without the voice actor, this episode would have been like maybe just a good 6 or 7 out of 10. I'm not saying that's bad, I'm just saying that the voice actress really uplifted the material throughout this episode. But let's get into everything else. So, this series, if you haven't already caught on, is about a VTuber that pretty much, she leaves her stream on. It is technically a parody of life itself, because I have definitely seen this happen to where you have a streamer, not necessarily a VTuber, but a streamer that will, let's say, conclude their stream of either doing just chatting or playing a game, whatever, and then they switch off, they think they switch off their camera and the streaming equipment, and then they start doing their own little activities. Either they will start watching random videos, or maybe they'll go into more of the NSFW variety. This has happened a lot with a lot of streamers over the years, ever since streaming basically was invented. And so having an anime basically dedicated to a streamer fell, for instance, a streamer leaving on the recording, and then their true self, the mask off, so to speak, slips off, and the whole world can see them for what they are, is legitimately fascinating. It is honestly ironic, though, that this series comes out at such an interesting time period, because there's been a lot of controversy with VTubers as of late with mask off. I'm not going to dive too deep into that one. You probably have already heard about it. I know Rev has already made kind of a video on it, so you probably heard it from him, but it's very fascinating. But getting into the more light and comedic side of things, talking about this anime, I do like how this, episode is a parody of life itself, because everything that happens within this episode, legitimately you could probably trace back to something that a streamer has done to some degree, or at least a watcher has done to a streamer to some degree. And I love how this episode embodies that nature of streaming culture, but also just what it means to be a content creator, but also what it means to not be a content creator. For instance, if you're just a viewer, or if you're someone that is a content creator, but you're watching another content creator as a viewer. I love what this episode boils down to. It basically says, at the end of the day, a content creator is a human being. They are someone just like everyone else in the world. Obviously, they're propped up by society, and people view content creators like idols or heroes, etc. And, in a way, I can understand why people do that, but at the end of the day, content creators are just human beings. They make mistakes, they have a lot of flaws, they're just like the average individual, and in this case, having this character pretty much releasing herself and showcasing that she's basically an alcoholic. She is someone that is straight up, she says herself, she's gooning. She literally said the words herself in this episode, that she was straight up gooning for this other streamer that is basically a part of her, group, is just so unhinged and hilarious, because it's just like, for a fact there's probably VTubers that do this exact same thing. But disregarding that for a second, I do want to talk about a few things, though, when it comes to the subtitles, because I know this is going to be an active discussion, especially since since obviously I am on Crunchyroll, so let's dive into that topic first before I go any further. So the topic right here is where the character says, "I'm gooning to your stream." Now, let's be fair, gooning is definitely a newer term in the past few years, I would say. Like, you know, it's definitely reached more mainstream dialogue when it comes to internet slang, and you definitely see it often. Anywhere you go nowadays, if you go on YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, whatever, it doesn't matter, Twitch, you'll see people saying gooning, or you're a gooner, or whatever. And in this case, the dialogue here obviously is meant to fit, you know, the current day and age of dialogue of internet slang. But at the same time, even though we can kind of chop this up to localization, etc., because I know that's what people are going to do, and I'm not trying to defend Crunchyroll, okay? I want to make sure I say this. Crunchyroll makes a lot of mistakes, and obviously I made videos discussing that. But I do think that there is a time and place when something like this makes sense, because it's like, even if theoretically in the original source, manga, light novel, or whatever this is adapted from, even if the character didn't necessarily say gooning, to be fair, if this was a streamer in the modern era, for instance, happening right now, like in real life, you're not going to tell me the terms gooning would not be used. It's just like, that's just what people do. That's content creation, VTubers, etc. They'll use modern day slang and throw stuff like that in. So the fact that she is a streamer, she has to be up with the time, she's, you know, working with people, she has a manager, etc. Of course, she would know these type of terms and probably use them. So even if in the original source of the subtitles or the manga, light novel, whatever, doesn't have gooning in it, I think that she would say it. Just straight up. So, I wanted to say that. Once again, I'm not trying to defend Crunchyroll for bad translations or localization, etc. I just think that, you know, in the theme of the story, they would say this. But okay, anyways, getting off of that topic for a second, I do want to say that I really have one question, and it's something that was really bugging me throughout this episode. And it's not bad. It's not a bad thing, okay? I want to make sure I clarify that first. It's not a bad thing, it doesn't make the episode bad or anything, but it is a question. And I was wondering, this character here is our main female character, obviously, and she's a VTuber, which obviously I've been talking about. But the thing is that, she wears this VTuber dress, not just at her house, but even when she goes outside. Like, we literally see moments where she goes out on the swing, etc., and she has her entire VTuber dress on. Now, visually speaking, this could be just more of an artistic choice, showcasing that, you know, this is her character, this is who she is when she's a content creator, and that's just how you should, you know, perceive her. But in reality, she's probably just wearing regular clothes, etc. That's what I'm assuming. Like, obviously, when it comes to VTuber models, they're very different fundamentally than, like, the actual person, you know, that is being the VTuber. So I feel like maybe this might be a choice artistically that they wanted the character to look like their model, and that's about it. And I think that's completely fine if that's the case, because as you can see here, the opening song clearly shows her in different outfits, so it does make me wonder necessarily if it's just like maybe her personal viewpoint on how she views herself, the image, the character, the mask, etc. I do wonder, because it could be more of a symbolic theme than anything else. But yeah, that was the big question I was wondering. Is she truly walking out with her VTuber outfit? Because technically, if she is a CGI model VTuber and all that on screen for everybody to see, which you see multiple times throughout the episode, technically she shouldn't need to dress up because, you know, they're not actually seeing her true self. But I don't truly know how hard it is to get into VTubing, like, you know, the actual effort, like, in terms of, like, the VTuber modeling to maybe the dress up. Maybe you have to be in a dress to be a VTuber. I don't know. I'm not a VTuber. But the point of the matter is that I was just legitimately curious about that whole ordeal. Now, with that being said, though, I do think that just this series overall is extremely unhinged. It's extremely weird, and I like that. I love anime that's weird. I love anime that's unhinged. And I feel like this is a perfect way to kind of, you know, critique and showcase the current streaming culture that is in society right now, maybe especially in Japan. So, I don't know, I love this. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. May all of you have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.